Hey guys, welcome to the second part of React useState tutorial. In the first part, we built this small to-do app that basically renders our to-dos and removes them on click. In this part, we will be building brand new app, the same app, but instead of using these ugly fat class components, we'll be using function components with hooks. So in case you haven't followed with the first part, I'm gonna post a link in the description to a GitHub repo which you can clone to be on the same page with me. Or you can create a new project on your own using Create React App, and it'll be good to just follow along. So let's just get into it. First, let's create a brand new file. We'll call it funkapp.js. So in case you guys are creating your own Create React App project, what you need to do is just delete everything from app.js, and you'll have this blank page, and we'll be coding together. And if you clone the repo, or if you followed from the first part, then let's go to index.js. Let's copy this line here, let's comment it, and let's just add here function app. Yep, this should work. Let's make sure it is working. Now we need to import React and useState from React. We also need to export default app, which we're gonna create right now by const app equals to, let's just return a paragraph with 5 words of lorem ipsum. Yep, this is working. Nice. We can move along. So we started the first part by building a to-do form, which will be here. And I think it makes sense to start from it here and start explaining hooks right from here. So let's say to-do form, and let's create it using const to-do form equals to let's return a fragment, and inside a fragment let's say form, and inside the form we need two inputs. We need an input text, we don't need these guys, and we need a button which is input type submit, value add to do. Now let's go to our parent and let's render this component. Let's delete this and let's put curly braces. Let's return a fragment inside of which we will have our to-do form. Do form. Good. Now it should render here. It is rendering. So let's look at our previous project. You see, we build it using class components because we needed to have state. We need to control the state, right? React, we need state for this input. So if we go to React app and we go to to-do form, we need to have a state here, right? React needs to control it. This is how React works. So now that we have hooks, we can do it easily just by typing this. So type with me and I'll explain what's going on. Input value and set input value equals to useState, and let's pass an empty string. Okay, so this function, what it does, this is an array destruction. You guys are probably using object destruction, like here for example we destruction props, right? This is an object destruction. Array destruction is similar, and if you want to know how it works under the hood in the context of React, then I strongly suggest you to go on Google and just check out this blog by Can't See Dots. See this one, Can't See Dots array destruction hooks. Write something like this in Google and it will show you this wonderful article which will explain to you how the array destruction works in the context of hooks, of useState. If not, if you want to just know briefly what's going on, then I'm gonna try to explain you real quick. So So if we look at this array, right, there are two items, 0 and 1, two values, 0 and 1. The first one, input value, is our actual state. Like whatever we type in here, this will be our input value. Set input value is the function that updates the state. So for example, we can say const input value and update, and we can say useState and pass an empty object, right? I mean empty string. And let's console log it, and let's say input value and update. And if we go to our console, we see the array with two items, with two elements. The first one is an empty string that we pass here, and the second one is our function, a function that will update our state. Now, we can do something like const input value equals to input value and update at index 0, and we can do this for set input value and update at index 1. Okay, it will be absolutely same thing as this structure in this array, right? So these three lines equal to this one line, right? So of course we want to use the one line, right? We have our wonderful destructuring, so why not take advantage of it? So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take advantage of it. So in our input, we're gonna say on change, we're gonna pass an event, and we're gonna use another function here. We're gonna say set input value, and we're gonna pass e.target.value, meaning whatever we are typing here will be passed to our state. Here also we need to say value equals to input value. So now if we go to our React Dev Tools, you go to our app and to-do form, make sure in to-do form, look at our state, and as we type, you see the state changes. Wonderful. Now let's create our form submit handler. Let's say on submit handle form submit, the function that we haven't created yet, but we are going to right now. So let's say const handle form submit. We're gonna pass an event object, and the first thing we'll do, we'll say e.prevent default to prevent form from default submission. Then we want to do some validation. We're going to check if the input is not empty. Then if it is empty, return alert and say write something. Okay, if not, then we're going to add this input as a to-do to our to-dos array. So to-do array will be controlled from the main app component, meaning we need a state here. Like if you look at our previous app that we built, right here, you see the state equals input value. Just like here, we need here the state equals to-do list array. Just like here, we needed state for input value, we need a state for our to-dos. And let's go to our app, to our parent, and let's create this state. So now we know how to use it using hooks in function components. We can do the same thing here. We're going to say const to-do list, the name of the array which will hold our to-dos, passed from this form, and set to-do list will equal useState, and we're going to pass here empty array as our initial state. Now I want to look at React Dev Tools. I want to make sure that it is working. Now you see, look, app state array empty array. You see this one. It is working right away. Now we want to have a function here, the function that updates that calls this function set to do list, which once we submit the form adds a new to do to our to do list. And for that we can easily say const handle add to do. We'll take a to do and we use an arrow function, and we say set to do list. We wanna collect all the to dos that we have, to do list, and we're gonna pass the actual to do. You see, it looks pretty simple, right? If we look at our app component, this had 6 lines, and we're doing it only with 1 line. How sweet it is. Super sweet. So, okay, now we need to pass this function as props to our child, to our to-do form. We'll say add to do equals to handle add to do. All right, now we can destructure it here in our to do form. We'll say add to do, and we can call this add to do if everything's fine, if the form the input is not empty. So we say add to do, and we're gonna pass our input value. And once that happens, we want to set our input, we want to basically reset this. So whatever we type here, once we submit it, we want to call set input value and just pass it an empty string, meaning, resetting it. All right, let's save it. Hopefully everything works. Failed to compile, handle add to do. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I forgot to put parentheses here. Okay, now let's try this out. Let's look at our state, array 0. Let's put some text here. Oops, it is not working. It is not working because, oh, my bad. I made a typo, sorry guys. Now it should work. Yep, it is working. If you look at array length, you see it is adding items. It's not showing yet, but you can see hooks. I hope it's going to be shown in the future, but at least we see that we have our array, which is updating, and everything is fine. Now what we need to do is we need to render those to-dos, and for that we need to create a to-do component. In this case, it's obviously that it's going to be even here in our app we had this component as function component, simply because it doesn't need any state. So yeah, so let's create to do equals to, let's say list, and it'll be a to do which will be destructured from props passed from a parent, passed from our app component, from this component. So we're gonna pass it here, we're gonna render it right here, but before doing that we wanna make sure that we have our items in our to-do list array. So if to-do list length does not equal to 0, then logical AND operator. I'm sure you know what it is, what it does. And we're gonna render a fragment, and inside a fragment we are going to render our to-dos. But before that we need our heading. We need to say to-do list, and below to-do list we want to render an ordered list, and inside an ordered list we want to use our beautiful, wonderful map function to map our to-dos to our component. To-do list dot map. We'll take the first parameter to do, the second index, and we're gonna return a to-do, and we're gonna pass to do as props a couple of attributes. First we want to pass React keys, the key attribute, which it needs a unique value so that React doesn't yell at us. So we pass the key, and then to our component we're passing to do, which is to do, index, which is index, and we're gonna pass also the function which will delete to do on click. So we say delete to do equals to handle delete to do. We don't have it yet, but we're gonna create it right now. we're gonna create it right here. We're gonna say const delete to do equals to do to delete. First we need to grab first we need to filter our to-dos, and we need to make sure that this item will not be included. It will be like filtered out from it. So we say const updated to-do list equals to to-do list dot filter, which the first parameter is the actual item we don't need. We only need an index, which we will name to do, and we'll say to do we'll say give us to all to-dos that do not equal to do to delete. Yep, so this this test will filter out our to-dos, our array, our brand new array, which will pass to this set to-do list updater function. So we'll say set to-do list, and we pass updated to-do list. Okay. All right, before moving on, let's make sure that everything's fine, everything's rendering. Let's add a to-do. Yeah, it is rendering. It is great. And now let's go down here, and the structure are those two attributes which we need to delete our to-do. So the first one is our delete to-do function, and the second one is index, which will be passed to this function, and we'll hook this function to onClick. So let's say onClick equals to let's use an arrow function, and we'll just say simply delete to do, and we'll pass an index of a to do that needs to be deleted. Now let's see if it's working. Let's add few to-dos. Okay, and yay, it is working. And thank you guys so much for being with me with this tutorial. It is so much fun, so much more fun to write this instead of this. Like, I'm pretty sure if you followed along, you will agree with me that just so much more fun. Thank you, React, so much for being more and more awesome, and thank you guys for watching this. Have a great, wonderful day or night. Bye.